Let's say, so we've selected our contractors. We've got 3 big things. We have paperwork, timing, and budget tips. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, it kind of comes down to that first couple meetings that we have, the very first meeting, and then a very short after that, maybe 1 to 2 weeks, a design and budget review meeting. This is where we can really first introduce the client to first contact of what does that baby look like, how expensive is, and we usually like to design and budget for just about everything they've asked for, even if we know it's going to be over budget, just to present all the details and facts. So that first bit of paperwork, that initial basic design, the floor plan layout, sketches, even discussing, depending if it's a large project or a basement, there's always a basic design in mind. So we try and accurately describe that. And then we also try and put an accurate budget to that so they can see things, not just framing lumber and drywall and roofing and windows, but all the way down to flooring materials, allowances for lighting and plumbing fixtures. So again, a very detailed cost estimate and a fairly good explanation of what the design is that will drive that cost, I think, is one of the first important pieces of paper that we cover on the actual construction project itself.
And definitely that could get overwhelming at that stage, right? You're going through all the selections and the costs, so people need to pay attention and ask questions just like they did in the contractor process, correct?
Right.
Right. And, you know, and with that process, that usually takes place in that second meeting that we have with the homeowner. And I know earlier, in an earlier topic, we had talked about who should be at what step of the way. This particular point in process, that second interaction with the homeowner, is super important to have all parties at that visit that are going to be in charge of making that decision and really kind of understanding what's going on. This second meeting or appointment with a homeowner is really a working meeting. It's a back and forth, you know, what do we like about the design? Based on what your wish list was, here's what we've come up with, here's your initial budget, and we'll show them everything to start with. And then that's where the homeowner can then say, you know, that's really out of my budget. What can we or can't we do? What can we take away, or what do we need to add? Or, you know what, I love it. We can find a way to make it work. And at that point, we then start to refine the design, which will then also refine the budget for them as well. We have a person online here who's wanting to know a question about contractors and do the changes for money, do those inflect changing the estimate in the budget? Does that change the money and whatnot? Well, with the design, yes. As the design changes and molds to where it's at, the budget will mold and change to that as well, sometimes going up, sometimes going down. But for the most part, it will stay pretty fluctual with what we initially come up with because we ask all of those questions up front. We try to tell you just about everything that you're going to need to understand or have to wrap your head around from the get-go so that there are no surprises along the way.
Great point also about having everyone there during this really important process, because when you're choosing the finishes, going through the cost, everyone's affected by that. That's going to be in the home. So it's really great to have everybody on the same page too with that portion of